So you want to learn how to create these background distortion effects inside of After Effects? Well, stick around because I'm going to break it down step by step in this tutorial, because I actually got a bunch of requests of this effect on my Instagram when I put up a poll, or like not a poll, but you know, when you ask questions on the story, because I'm posting daily here on YouTube this month and I'm actually out of effect ideas. So these next couple of tutorials will basically just be the effects that you guys wanted me to break down. But enough yap, and let's get right into this tutorial. So I got this clip from this NBA Youngboy music video, and basically what I'll be doing is duplicating this layer, and the top layer will be the rotor layer and the bottom layer will be the background layer. So I'll make sure that my quality is on full, and then I'll double click on my rotor layer, and then I'll start masking out my subject right here. And this was actually fairly easy to mask out, and when I mask them out, I'll hide my background layer. And my mask actually looks horrible, like this doesn't look good, so I'll add on a refined soft matte effect onto my subject layer, and I'll turn down the additional edge radius to like 3, and then I'll bump up the feather to like 5, and now we get a nice feather in here. Like the edges look a lot smoother, so that's actually a huge boost if we like hide it and unhide it. Like there's a huge difference in here. Either way, I'll unhide my background layer, and then I'll create an adjustment layer, put it in between my roto and background layer. And to this adjustment layer, I'll basically add on all of the effects. Alright, so the first effect I'll add on is a sapphire warp chroma, and right after adding it on, it looks basically horrible, and this is not what it's going to look like. So we just gotta change the wrap X and the wrap Y to reflect, and now we get these edges back in here. And then for the Z distance, I'll turn it down to 1, and then I'll keyframe the Z distance and the rotation, and then go like halfway into my clip, right around here, and then I'll turn up the Z distance to 1.1, and then the rotation to like 15 or maybe even 30 if you want that. And then I'll go like towards the end right here, and then I'll just turn the Z distance back to 1, and then the rotation back to 0, just like that. And then the next effect I'll add on is a sapphire warp puddle. So it's a lot of sapphire effect, so if you don't have sapphire, you won't be able to do this basically. But I'll turn down the amplitude down to 0, keyframe that, and I'll turn up the frequency to 11 and the rel height to 2. Now you can keyframe the amplitude and the frequency as well if you want to. And I'll go in here and turn up the amplitude to 0.1, and now we got this going on. And you can turn down the frequency if you want to like 5, and you'll have a bigger puddle like that instead of the small ones. And then here at the end, I'll turn up the frequency to 11 again and the amplitude down to 0. And then I'll add on a warp bubble effect this time, once again from sapphire, and I'll keep the amplitude at 0.1, and I'll keyframe it right here at my other keyframes. And then here at the start, I'll turn it down to 0. At the end, I'll have it at 0 again, and I'll turn down the frequency to 10, so that way the effect won't be as heavy. But that's basically it for this effect. You could also keyframe the frequency if you want to. So right here at the peak, keyframe it from 10. Here at the start, turn it down to like 3. Here at the end, I'll turn it down to just 5. The final effects we'll add on is a hue saturation. This one is pretty much optional if you want like more of a trippy effect with all of these colors going on, just like this. So yeah, of course I keyframe the channel range from 0, and here at the peak up to 180. And then here at the end, I'll turn it back up to 0 and 1. So it will go like a full, a full rotation. And then the final effect I'll add on, just to style this a little bit more, is a deep glow. And you could go for whatever glow you want to, but I prefer deep glow, so that's what I'll go for. And I'll turn up the radius to 500 and the exposure to like 0.8. And I'll keyframe the exposure here at the peak. And then here at the start, I'll turn it down to 0. And at the end, back to 0 again. And if you like to, you could also add on like a warp effect. I'll change the warp style to fisheye, and then I'll put this on top of these other effects, like under the warp bubble right here, just like that. And then I'll turn up the bend to 100, and I'll keep the bend at 50 right here for the peak. But at the start, I'll keyframe it and turn it down to 0, and the same at the end. Now I'll just ease these all my keyframes, turn on motion blur, and you can mess with the graph editor if you feel like it, but this looks smooth, so I'm not even going to do that. I'll just drag out my keyframes all the way to the end, just like that. But yeah, we got a really solid effect in here. It looks really smooth. And if you want more effects like this one and a bunch of more that you can see in here in the VFX kit, then I'll leave the link to the VFX kit in the description, so you can go and grab it for yourself. And we actually got a launch sale, so it's actually cheaper right now. And we also got the buy one get one free. So when you add this plugin to your cart, you can grab any other pack for completely free. And we have over 150 effects in here right now. So we got the shakes in here. As you can see, we got a bunch of more effects. Like I could add on a shake real quick, just show you guys. If I just add on a trippy optic shake, like I just added it on with one click, and if I play it through, it will be playing before the trippy background effect. That's maybe a little bit too much trippy effects at once, but we got a bunch of simple effects in here as well. So if I remove the trippy optic shake, I can add in like a subtle vertical shake and just keep it here at the start. And see, that looks a lot better. That's a really smooth effect. So yeah, the VFX kit will be linked in the description. Go ahead and grab it if you want to. If you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. And if you didn't, you missed out. But thank you anyway. But I'll see you tomorrow in the next one.